I have Robin Finkeiner here from Ray C's Harley-Davidson. She's the marketing and advertising manager, along with a lot of other hats that she wears. Right? Is that correct?
Right.
Okay.
I just had one of our salesmen call, and he said, I have a customer with the exact same number that has the number of another customer. So I have two customers with the same number, and all the points are going to the wrong customer. So I reprinted all the invoices and the ROs. Well, actually, I just did the screen right to my Word and did it that way instead of reprinting every single one of them. And I was able to go in there and transfer all those invoices to the correct customer. Bam, whip. Thank you, ma'am. Done. 10 minutes later, I called him up and I says, okay, all his points are right there. I loved it. Because now I can track the invoices, I can track the ROs, better than going in and saying, okay, I got negative this points off on this guy, positive it on this guy, and then try to figure out how come I did that 10 months later.
Could you quantify exactly how much time maybe you both are saving time, you and Pam, how much time you're both saving using that invoice lookup tool and the missing deals and ROs and everything?
Probably saving the headache later is where we're really saving it, because you get to take care of it right then and there, and I don't have to like look later and say, well, where did that invoice get applied to, or how come I gave this guy 3,221 points? That's such an odd number. I don't have to worry about that. Whereas before I was like negativing, positiving. Now I get to just apply the invoice, apply the RO. I can look it up, because actually what happens is I do have the salespeople come in and they will say, I can't find this invoice. They're telling me they didn't get credit for it. I can go in there and I can look it up. And I said, nope, it's right there, because it's got the invoice number and the date in there. Before we didn't have that.
And that saves you also a couple screen clicks, right? You don't have to look up the customer and then the invoice. All you got to do is come to the rewards page and just type in the invoice number.
Type it in, yep. And
just
it tells
see
me
who
if it's
assigned
been
to.
assigned or not assigned. And that's the thing about it, too, because if it's not assigned, that tells me it's because they did not sign the customer up before they cashed them out.
Okay. So what did you do before this feature was added? Because I know you've been with us for a while. You're saying it saves a headache later. What sorts of things or headaches would you have to deal with?
I'm trying to remember why I gave somebody some points, and I don't remember. Or they'll just put a brief, because before they was putting per day. Per day what? How come per day told you to put these points in? Oh, something about an invoice that was missed.
Okay. And so, in fact, this really gives you an opportunity to, even before you assign bonus points or even request to assign, you can see if you can transfer the invoice from the wrong person maybe, or if it got rewarded or not, before even adding bonus points, right? So it's probably saving you.
I never let anybody add any bonus points until I go in and look first to see, well, has that invoice been assigned to somebody? Well, like this person, they were assigned to all the wrong guy. So, but I didn't have to go through and like take them all off of his and then posit them all off of that. I just did one click with one invoice, took care of two customers at the same time. That was cool.
So if one of our dealers is not using that tool, which I do have a lot, and that's
they're going to wonder a month later why they did what they did in somebody's account.
Yeah.
And then they can't track the invoice. Who did we give this invoice to? Because it's not in there. Now you got the invoice number and the RO right to the customer, and I can look that up and say, yep, that guy got his invoice number. Because you'll get customers that come in here and they say, I didn't get my points. I can look it up and I'll say, yep, right here's the invoice number, the date, and these are your points.
And were you ever expecting to have a tool like this when you started with us, or is this kind of a surprise to you that this is available now?
I guess, not having it there, it's like, oh man, this should not be this much work. I remember when I told you a few times, this should not be this much work.
Yeah.
I remember. And then once we had that tool, it was like, oh, simple. I mean, I don't sweat when people bring me something, because like Daz calls me and he goes, we have a customer with the same number, and I'm like, okay, just give me 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, I called him back, and the customer was ready to cash out. All his points were awarded. So, I mean, it saved a lot of time right there, because I would have had to do about 15 invoices individually, negative them off, put them on, negative them off, put them on. Yeah. I didn't have to do that.
So everyone out there who is struggling with missing rewards or cashier mistakes or wrong invoice to the wrong customer, Robin's
they're not using it. They're just creating a headache later down the road, and extra work. And not only that, you're probably doubling up on points.
That's true. And that what she's saying is that if you approve bonus points to be assigned to someone for anything missing, you could actually, find the invoice later and it gets added for whatever reason, and you would double up on the points.
Right.
And because it's hard to keep track of someone who already got rewarded for something. If
Right.
someone isn't making notes. So.
Right. If you do it per invoice per hour, you can track it. If you do it just giving them extra bonus points, it's harder to track, and you're probably going to double up on the points.
If you could summarize, if someone's not using this, they're just basically causing themselves headaches, right? And
they're causing themselves extra reward points, and they're causing themselves twice the work.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for. Well, I mean, what else can you say about it?